How do we chart our own path on Clubhouse, this brave new world?
I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. You know that thing you've been thinking about doing? Yeah, that one. Why not now? Have you ever actually taken the time to ask yourself, what's stopping me? Let's talk it through. This is your chance to give that idea the attention it deserves and take action. Each episode, I have a chat with a fascinating person, from entrepreneurs to athletes, celebrities, my parents, rocket scientists, and all walks of life. We talk through a critical time when they've asked themselves, why not now? We dissect that day or even that moment, step by step.
Just let go.
Okay, everybody. So I have had many people ask me, what the heck, sometimes it's not heck, is Clubhouse? And I am navigating this myself. I am not a voice of authority yet. However, I'm excited to learn. And so what I did is I reached out to my friend, Amy Stanton, who's been on the show before, and asked her if she'd be my Clubhouse mentor. So I'm sure you're hearing about this new app called Clubhouse. It's blowing up. It's definitely hit another tipping point. And it can be a little confusing if you don't have a bit of a overview, a bit of a mentor. So Amy Stanton is our mentor. She's going to break it down for us. She's been even called the Queen of Clubhouse. So she's legit. And if you're like, what is Clubhouse? I've never even heard of this before. It's a new app. It's audio only. And it's a little hard to explain, so I encourage you to listen, but there's something in it for everyone, and there's some magic happening, and I've witnessed it. Just listen to our convo and hit us up if you have any questions. Amy is at Amy K. Stanton on all social media, including Clubhouse, IG, Twitter, you name it. And I'm at Amy Jo Martin. You can follow us. We're hosting rooms together. She's showing me the ropes, and it kind of reminds me of early day Twitter. It just reminds me of, anything is possible. There are no rules. It still feels pretty innocent for the most part. And you can find a lot of value in and learn a lot from Clubhouse. So it can be a little confusing if you just hop in there and you're just kind of thrown in the hallway and you don't know which rooms or clubs to go in. And there are welcoming parties and things. And yes, I'm not kidding that these things happen. But that's why I brought Amy on. So she'd kind of explain to us what is really going on, how do you navigate it, and actually get value from it. People are really growing their businesses on Clubhouse. For some people I've spoken to recently, it's the number one lead generator for them. So this isn't just kind of cute, fun conversation. It's actually, it could be really powerful. So I'm having fun with it. I hope you are too. And we're always open for feedback. Amy Stanton is a PR pro. She works with some of the biggest names in health and wellness. She has her own company and has for years. She's got a very decorated past in terms of media, working on Olympic bids. And more than anything, she's just a very generous, kind human. And we've known each other for a long time. I think you'll really enjoy her. And you can feel her energy about Clubhouse. So without further ado, welcome to my conversation with the Queen of Clubhouse, Amy K. Stanton. Being able to design my own day and do it in the most efficient way is a non-negotiable for me. I'm a bit of a time management nerd, so when I find something that allows me to be more efficient and effective to get the most out of my day, I want to share it with everyone. So here's the scoop. I have a new tool in my productivity tool belt, and it's called Monday.com. My team and I have never felt more organized professionally and personally. And my to-do list is no longer the boss of me. I feel more in control because every project, initiative, date, and task is captured and organized in one place. And my team is in the loop and involved every step of the way. We are in lockstep. Monday.com is like having a brand new operating system. Everything has its own home, deadline. You can see the team members associated with the tasks, and it's color coordinated, so you can easily navigate your own task list. We all have multifaceted jobs, businesses, and lives. With Monday, you're able to keep all of these components organized in their own compartments, but you're also one click away from seeing the big picture and how they all integrate together. Creating systems and procedures within your day and business saves a lot of time. For example, my team and I have a dedicated Monday.com board for this very podcast. Did you know that there are 28 steps involved in getting one podcast ready for air? It's the same exact process every single time. And it's a system that we have put into place. So we know the various key steps are assigned to certain people, and we've mapped out the entire process from start to finish within this one board. This allows us to be streamlined. It cuts back on the amount of emails exchanged as well as the amount of meetings needed. One feature I love is that my social media content calendar is built inside of Monday.com. I finally have one that I actually use, I like, and it's embedded into my overall calendar as well. Another feature we use every single day is the Google Doc integration. You know I love a good spreadsheet. I can pull them into Monday.com and edit them right there versus having 97 tabs open on my computer, which is extremely distracting and inefficient. If how we spend our days is how we spend our lives, then I can't think of anything more important than using the time in our days wisely. Head to hey.monday.com/Amy Jo Martin to start your free trial today. That's hey.monday.com/Amy Jo Martin. Amy, welcome back to the Why Not Now show. This is fun. I am almost giddy about today's conversation because I know I'm going to learn so much. I've got my highlighter and my pen here. Can you tell me about a time when you had a big decision to make and you had to ask yourself, why not now?
Well, it's funny you should ask. I have just discovered an app called Clubhouse. And I was thinking about my first moments on that app and how crazy it was that I felt really weird getting up on stage and talking. And I'll explain more about that. But I speak all the time. So the idea that I suddenly felt insecure speaking on an audio app made no sense to me. And one of the great things about this app is that you can create your own room. You can create your own content. And so I just said, screw it. Instead of feeling nervous in other people's rooms, why don't I start creating my own and gather my tribe? And so I did. I started hosting rooms and I've been doing it ever since. Loving it.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so full disclosure, as you're listening, I asked Amy if she would come on the podcast again. And you have to check out her first episode too, because she wrote an awesome book. But she has become a wealth of knowledge. And I'm just gonna go there. I'm gonna call you a guru of Clubhouse. And I officially am asking you to be my Clubhouse mentor.
I accept.
Yes, because I have a lot to learn. And I know so many people are asking themselves, what the hell is Clubhouse? And of course, it's hit mainstream news. And we've seen a few inflection points where tipping point. But I think this one now is really, it reminds me of Twitter in 2008, right before the election, and everybody's like, oh, what is this thing? Obama's on it. And it just kind of is at this point. So you are going to help us today, right? You're going to tell us what's up with Clubhouse. Let's break it down, because what you just said, you you've a very decorated career. You've been on a lot of stages. You hop into this app, which is audio only. And you said you were even feeling a little unsure in other people's rooms. And so you started your own. So it's kind of like your own little house, right? Or can you just tell us, like, first the language, like, and what is this? And I mean, I've been on it and I've been lucky to, what is it? Like, what was I was a panelist in your room, or was I in a club? Can you break it down for us?
I will try, but let me start by saying part of what's so great about this app is that there are no right answers. We're all in an exploratory phase, and that is truly what's fun about it, and that's why I'm fired up about it. As much as I never wanted to be the Clubhouse queen and have since been told many times that I am, I actually do take that as a compliment, because I feel like it's a whole new world. And especially during these pandemic times, I'm looking for a new world. So it's perfect. It's ideal.
I love too how democratized it is with just audio. It just feels like a lower barrier of entry to me. And thank you. You know, we see each other all day, every day on Zoom. And it's kind of nice to just lay in bed and like creep in and listen to Elon Musk talk about, I don't know, GameStop or whatever.
Exactly. Anything is possible. Anything can happen on Clubhouse right now. So it's still in a beta stage. Okay. It's invite only, and there are ways to get invites. So if your listeners are wondering how to get on, I'm certain we can find a way.
We have an economic model for that, right?
There actually is. People are selling Clubhouse invites on eBay, apparently. I read about that. I'm not
doing that, by the way. So no, take it.
Not doing that. No, it's a good idea, but we're not doing that. Just kidding.
Invite only. And I know a lot of people listening. If you were like me, I saw Kat Cole, who I'm sure you know Kat, and I saw her months and months ago talking about it. And I was like, oh, is this another thing I have to go learn? Like, that used to be my world, right? This is how I felt with Twitter in, you know, way years and years, decade plus ago. However, this is different. And like you said, it sounds like it's clay that's just being molded and the path is being created. So if you were to explain this just in a quick elevator ride, what would you say?
I'll give it a shot. So I think it's sort of a bridge between podcasting and literally an audio version of Zoom. So it's live podcasting, like a radio show where you can actually jump up on stage and speak to the speakers, or in that case, the radio host. And what's amazing is, because it's a pretty small population, there's an intimacy to it right now where someone like Elon Musk could get on there and you might actually be able to ask him a question. At first, the room sizes were limited to 5,000 people in a room. And now they're expanding that, and their goal ultimately is not to have a limit on how big the room size is. So literally someone like Elon over time could speak to 100,000 people at the same time. Now, I think at that point, it will be harder for people to get up and ask questions. But starting back at the beginning, basically, there are two areas that you could be when you enter. You start out and you're in the audience, and you go into this hallway, and there are all these different rooms happening. It's almost like you're at a big conference, and you make a decision about what room on the conference that you want to enter. And the reality is, some of the rooms are not for you. So when I first got there, I was totally horrified, because it seemed like every room was about Bitcoin and growth marketing, or millions to billions. Now, by the way, maybe I should care more about millions to billions, but it's really not my jam. So the energy of those rooms didn't really feel aligned. Sometimes I would go in and just listen for the sake of it, and out of curiosity, just learn how the app worked. But I felt like, oh no, this is not for me. I quickly learned that the trick is to follow the right people. So it's all about following the right people that you'd either want to hear speak, or people that you normally want to be with at an event, because most likely they're people that are listening to things that you might be interested in. Yes, question.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So when I got on, clearly it syncs with my contact list. And I mean, we're talking people from a decade ago are popping up. Do I want to follow them, or is there a reciprocation thing going on here, or not necessarily? So we need to be very intentional about who we follow, is what we're hearing.
I would be very intentional. There's always that inclination to do the follow for follow, but it would not be my recommendation. Okay. And It does give you the option to sync with your contacts, as you mentioned, but I would recommend that people not do that and instead go in and curate a specific list of folks they're following, unless you have a lot of faith in your contact list. The truth is, I am lucky that many people do that because sometimes I end up connecting or reconnecting with people that I've always wanted to be back in touch with through Clubhouse because of this random algorithm. But in the beginning, to get the best experience, you really do want to follow folks that are aligned with you in some way. And it could be stuff you're curious about. I mean, it could be something that you don't know anything about, but you've always wanted to learn about. But I definitely think otherwise you end up in a blur of who knows what. I experienced this.
Okay. Is it kind of like social in that, let's say, Instagram, people are going to start clogging up your feed and what you're being served if you're following too many people that aren't providing value?
Well, you only see rooms that include the people that you're following. A few other rooms are served up generally by Clubhouse based on your interest in other stuff, but you want to make sure that the rooms that show up in your hallway are rooms that you might actually be interested in. The other thing, in addition to following people, is to go in and follow specific clubs. So for example, I'm deep in the health and wellness space. So I went into the club section and searched and found that there were a number of clubs around wellness. Some of them are bigger and more established. Those are probably the ones that would be serving up more content. So those are the ones you want to follow. A lot of times after you follow a club, they'll actually invite you to be in that club.
You can go find clubs. So you talk about the difference between rooms and clubs.
Okay, absolutely. So a room is an event. So you and I are up on stage and we're talking about why people with the name Amy are the best. Let's just say, hypothetically, I mean, it should happen because there are some incredible Amy's on Clubhouse. We should just do an Amy's room, Amy's only.
Yeah.
It'd be great. So we're talking about that up on stage, and the people that can see our room are the people that follow us. Those people also, if they have their notifications on, get notified the minute we're on stage. So that's a whole other thing. Your notifications can be super useful or they can make you insane. There are a lot of notifications, especially the more people you follow. So you might want to think about the notifications. You can also choose certain people. Like if I was obsessed with Elon Musk, I actually can indicate on his profile that I want to be notified each and every single time he speaks. And I will get an alert about that. So there are all kinds of nuances in how you set up your whole follow situation. But I would spend the time getting that right because it totally determines your experience. And part of what's fun is as you're on the app, you're going to hear someone speaking in a room. You're going to be like, I just like the way that person sounds. And you follow them. And then you go to more rooms where they are. So your hallway, you see all the people that you know in what rooms they're in. So by the way, I mean, that's a funny thing in and of itself. Sometimes I'm like, should I go into that dating room? But then I know that, I mean, it's fine. Everyone, I'm single. I am not ashamed of it.
No, this is fascinating. They're dating rooms. Okay, this is the most fun I've had all day, and I've got my notes, and I can't wait. Okay, so, and this is where you go to meet people in the room that you might want to.
You could. So people are doing all kinds of like dating game like things. So far, I've not participated. I've listened to a couple things. Patty Stanger, the millionaire matchmaker, is on there. There are plenty of dating experts that are doing talks. There's all kinds of stuff happening.
All right, everyone, I've got an announcement. As of today, we are officially enrolling for the 2021 Renegade Accelerator program, formerly called the Renegade Brand Bootcamp. Okay, so who is this program for? What is it? The Renegade Accelerator is for driven female leaders, executives, and entrepreneurs ready to massively increase their impact and income. The program is for like-minded, like-hearted women all over the globe. The experience is intimate, live, real-time, virtual, and it's led by me. Our curriculum is equal parts education, practical education, collaboration, and accountability. In the accelerator, you'll learn directly from me, and I share everything I've learned over the past 20 years in business. We meet in real time to learn, discuss, and grow together. This is high touch. I'll teach you a variety of things, from personal branding to the business side of public speaking, podcasting, publishing, marketing partnerships, how to productize your intellectual property, and we even talk about investing. I teach you all about the different types of investing in order to build your personal wealth. You will also learn the Renegade mentality, which is a key ingredient in your success to generate real results. This program is the career love of my life because I get to curate a mosaic of driven, like-minded, like-hearted women who come together to lift each other and themselves up to the next level. After the Renegade Accelerator, you become a member of my top-level alumni community. This group of unmatched women who are making a positive impact is personally curated by me. The relationship building and networking opportunities are endless, and this collective of real, valuable connections will be something that you have forever. If you're at the point where you are ready to take action and accelerate, head to renegadeaccelerator.com. You can sign up for more information where I will guide you in determining if the program and the timing is right for you. If not you, then who? And if not now, then when? Why not now? Head to renegadeaccelerator.com. I love the wild, wild west nature of all of this. Like, I just want to go dream up something batshit crazy and just kind of do it, right?
Right.
This is the place to do it, by the way.
And you can do it from your bed under the covers, like at 2 a.m. if you can't sleep, right?
100%. And people are. I mean, for a while in the very beginning, I just spoke to someone yesterday and she said early on in the app, she was having a hard time sleeping and she'd wake up at 3 a.m. It was just all the rappers all the time. The rappers were just chatting. There was a room called like Bearded Black Men reading poetry. And like, that is just epic. This can only happen on Clubhouse, you know? And by the way, I'm like, I want to go listen to that room. And right now it's really becoming much more global. So there are rooms literally at all hours. And you see the Europeans are on in the morning. I'm on Pacific time. And then late night, you start to see Asia Pacific coming in, you know? So it's so fascinating now that it's becoming global. So fascinating.
Well, before we go any further, inquiring minds are going to want to know your handle on Clubhouse. Is it your name, Amy Stanton?
It's Amy K. Stanton.
Hey, Stan, just like on social, right?
Okay.
No, it's sister.
Okay.
So,
Hope you heard that.
So yeah, I mean, if you want, I definitely feel like I'm navigating and finding some great rooms, and I'm hosting a bunch of stuff. A lot of the stuff is stuff I'm hosting because I actually love the content. So around brand building and marketing and launching books and launching podcasts. I mean, you need to be in the podcast room, by the way.
Yeah, invite me into your room and club. And
you know I am.
Okay. Well, I thank you. You literally are my mentor. I know I'm joking, but this is fun. This is actually when you and I were talking the other day, and I could feel the energy of how this has just felt like, it sounds like a new hobby or breath of fresh air for creativity too. It's like you're learning, you're entertained, it's all the things. So can we go back to the dating room real quick? So you're in there and you're just listening, but then you can raise your hand, right? Because you invited me to help that day to be on a panel, and people can come up and talk. In the dating dynamic, do you just listen and like, are there really matches being made, or?
There are some people trying to make matches, and they're doing this thing. Like one of the rooms I heard, they bring up a woman, they bring up a bunch of men. She asks questions of the men, then chooses one. The two of them go and have a separate private room. You can do closed rooms on Clubhouse too. And then they come back and report back. So there's all kinds of things. I thought it would be fun actually to do like a remake of the original show, The Dating Game.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, especially because it's audio only, and that game show was so fun because like she or he could never see the contestants; you could only hear their voice, which I think is one of the things that's so fascinating about this, because you really can tell so much about someone from their voice alone, and it takes out a lot of these other things. I mean, in Clubhouse, you can see a little tiny photo of someone as well. And then you also can click on their profile and go straight to their social media, etc. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yes. And I'm making a little list here, an agenda. I want to talk about comments. There aren't any comments and we'll talk about that in a second. I have questions, but let's talk about profile. What do you suggest? I'm sure you see things that people should do differently.
Yes. First of all, I strongly recommend that when you first go on Clubhouse, you do put a photo there and then you link your social media to the profile. A lot of people don't do that because it's optional, but the reality is there's a real desire for people to be able to connect off the app. And right now there's no chat through the app. That is something that they're talking about building in over time, but at the moment, no. So basically, let's say I'm talking on a stage and someone says, oh, how do I get in touch with you? I'll say, just DM me on Instagram. I'm holding this phone as if I'm actually talking on the phone.
I'm trying to go do it right now. I'm going to create an action item. Okay. And I hope you're an advisor of some kind for them because they need this feedback.
Thank you. Well,
they're getting.
Yeah. I mean, right. I think that this podcast is going to put me right over the edge in their book for sure. If I'm not already one of their favorites, I hope I will be after this podcast. We'll see. But
okay, so
yes.
And then IG or
the other thing is the first two lines of your profile are in many ways the most important because sometimes you're showing up in search lists. Like let's say I was looking for someone that was a senior account executive in lifestyle public relations because I'm hiring, which I am, and that's all true. If I could go in and actually search that in the app, and I could find all the people that have that in their profile. Much better if it's literally in the first two lines because it makes the whole thing more accessible. Or looking for a founder of a wellness company. If someone could put that in the first two lines, better. Author.
Love it.
These are the things, like the more you can get squeezed in those first couple lines, the better. And then you literally have infinite amount of room to fill that bio out with whatever you want. So put in your personal interests within reason, put in the things you care about, whatever you think that is going to help you connect with people or help people connect with you. So, I mean, anyone that's listening, of course, can look at my bio. It's certainly not an art. I'm not even sure that I've mastered that, but I do feel like for now I'm happy with it. And you can always edit it. So that's good too. Can we go back to the other thing we were just talking about, which is the difference between like what's happening in the rooms? Because I feel, unless you have another question about the bios, I feel like we left that.
Nope, let's go back. And I have a few other things. Yeah, I have questions on. Please. This is your show.
You're interviewing me, but I just want to make sure we were clear because it's super confusing, this whole rooms thing. You go into a room, there's a stage with speakers. There literally could be 50 people up on stage, by the way. I don't recommend it, but some people do that because they're actually trying to get followers. I hate to say it. Sometimes these rooms will just have a bunch of people up on stage that are just trying to collect followers. It doesn't mean they're not having some decent content or conversations, but it's a whole thing to watch out for.
But then do people just talk over each other?
Well, usually half those people that are up there aren't even listening. They're literally like taking a bath or they're writing a document or what God only knows. They might be on a phone call, but they're up there again, collecting followers. Those are not my favorite rooms when they're 50 speakers. Everybody else is in the audience. As you mentioned earlier, if you're in the audience, you have a question, you have the option to raise your hand. Sometimes the speakers turn off hand raising if they're just having a conversation among themselves or if there are too many hands raised and they're like, we just aren't going to get to this. So they will turn off hand raising. But when you want to go up and ask a question, you raise your hand and you wait. This is a really interesting thing. I watched someone today totally botch this because she was new on Clubhouse and she clearly was not next to speak and she tried to interrupt and I was thrilled. The moderator was like, I'm sorry, Lois, or whatever her name was. We have a bunch of people in front of you. She's like, well, she actually was like, can I play the age card? I was like, that's a new one. But she thought because she was older, she was maybe going to be able to speak earlier. Wrong. He said, no. He said, I'm sorry, there are a bunch of people before you. This is how we do things on Clubhouse. So when you go up to stage, you'll wait until you're called on by the moderator.
Okay. We got the etiquette. This is what we like. We need to know this because nobody wants to look and feel stupid or embarrassed. So this is really good insurance. So there's no way to communicate like in comments or anything or drop links or right. This is what I do think is really cool about that. It is this simple. This is clean, simple. When IG first started, you've got photos and you've got a caption. That's all you get. We're not doing 90 things. So when it comes to benefits and things you've seen, like how you're using Clubhouse, whether it's for business or learning or making even personal relationships and connections, what are some of the examples that you have, for probably things you never would have imagined?
I have some good examples. Well, first of all, just to go back to your prior point, true, no comments, and it's super simple. But part of what's great is that instead of just responding to this little bio, you're actually encouraged to click on someone's Instagram and get to know them. And you can actually quickly get a better sense of this human than you would if you were just reading their little profile. So it's a way, and actually, honestly, my social media numbers have grown across the board because of the connectivity here, which may change if they add a chat function through the app.
That makes sense though. And you can, but I see people saying hi. Is that just welcoming me? Or you can't DM, but you can go into a private room?
You can go into a private room. You can also ping someone. So if you and another person follow each other, so just let's say us, if I see you're online and I'm in a room that I think is interesting, I can ping you and you'll get this notification, which is a standardized notification. I'm in a room talking about your favorite subject, something like that. You should join. So you get a lot of these kinds of messages when you're on the app. And one of the things that is worth being aware of is that you can accidentally click on one of those and then you end up in a different room, even if you're in the middle of speaking on stage. So you've got to be a little careful with the notifications. Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
Also, the other day when you had me in your room or club, which I do want to talk about the difference because I'm not sure where we were. I have the screen timer like, hey, you've been on social too long. I was in the middle of talking and then I don't know if you heard, maybe you just thought it was my forced Wi-Fi, but I'm like, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm just talking. And then I looked down and it was saying, hey, you've been on to, like, it kind of kicked me off for a second. I had to hit ignore. Do you do that where you have like limits on how long you can be on, with your settings on your phone? Anyway, so that's another thing.
Obviously, that would be a disaster though right now. They would they would probably send someone out to help me right now.
And is it true that anybody can start a room, but anybody can't start a club, right?
Anybody can also start a club.
But my team and we were talking about this in a team meeting this morning. I was like, I'll ask Amy today. Their Clubhouse said that you have to have hosted 3 rooms to apply for a club.
So yes, that is true. You can apply first of all, but they're supposedly going to give preferential treatment to the people that have hosted a room at the same time 3 weeks in a row. Now, first of all, I don't even know if that's true. Second of all, over time, it's going to be instantaneous where you can just set up a club like that.
Okay.
And it won't be manual, which it is right now, which is why it's taking forever to get clubs approved. I have a club.
What's it called?
It's called The Real Deal. And the reason for that is because when I got on Clubhouse, my first impression was that there were a lot of people talking about a lot of things. And those people that were positioning themselves as experts and might even have a huge following on Clubhouse didn't actually know what they were talking about. And that's not meant to be a generalization. There are plenty of very knowledgeable people on Clubhouse, but I wanted to put forward content that is super legit and that is very meaningful conversations, real people that have great stories. That's sort of my MO in life, is elevating people with important stories. So I'm doing that on Clubhouse. But yes, The Real Deal. Please follow The Real Deal and then I'll let you in.
You don't want to be turned off by people who are learning things on Tuesday and trying to teach them on Wednesday in Clubhouse and then all of a sudden never go back and not realize the true value and benefit, probably, right?
One thing it is important to make sure you're checking people out. It's like don't believe everything you hear. There's a lot of people that are selling stuff or coaching programs or God knows what. And you just want to make sure you vet people the same way you would in real life.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying that too, because I got on over Christmas and I swear I was lost in the hallway and I kept bumping into Bitcoin rooms and I was like, I'm not sure if this is for me. I knew there was something to it because I could see people like you talking about it. And I just, you have to kind of learn how to navigate a little bit, right? And then I imagine, hopefully it'll continue to get easier. Who are some of your favorite people to follow?
Oh, okay, definitely. And I also have to tell you about the magical moments quickly.
Okay, do that first.
Okay, magical moments or so this is for me the biggest joy of this whole app. I've really missed serendipity so much during the pandemic. I've missed when I'm at an event or even when I'm out of my house, having these moments where I run into someone or I have a conversation that leads to something else or something totally unexpected happens. And so pandemic has not been a year of serendipity. And now serendipity is possible again because of Clubhouse and in ways that blow my mind. So for example, one of my dear friends who also has been a client over the years, Pedram Shojai, jumped on Clubhouse and I was helping him kind of on board with the app, giving him showing them the ropes. There are these welcome rooms that happen once you jump on the app. So I hosted Pedram's welcome room. It happens. It's kind of a fun surprise. People don't know it's happening sometimes, and often they miss their own welcome room. So,
wait, I'm going to bookmark that because I have another question. But go ahead.
Okay. So Pedram has a welcome room. I'm the first person that jumps in the welcome room. I end up showing him the ropes. I meet some interesting people in that room because all the people that follow Pedram or are connected with him in his cell phone, this is the key, are invited to his welcome room. So it's super random, okay? Like all these super random people can show up in your welcome room, which is fun. I didn't actually do my own welcome room. I don't think I participated in that. I was too freaked out at the time. So say yes to your welcome room, just for fun.
I think I missed it. Okay.
I missed mine too.
Can you go back and do one or no?
It's a little late for you because for the first week you have a party hat and that's when you're very new and you deserve a welcome room. But past that point, no more. No, you're not new anymore. Sorry, we'll just welcome you in every room.
That's the value of this podcast is if you haven't signed up yet, which you should, and then follow Amy and I, and then we will have a welcome room and you'll know it and you can wear your party hat with pride and like enjoy it.
By the way, I would strongly advise people to jump in on the welcome rooms because people really appreciate the guidance. And this is one of the ways I met some really incredible people in the beginning. So Pedram, this all happens. I wake up on a Sunday morning. Now, Pedram and I are deep in it. We're planning content together. We're strategizing.
On Clubhouse or
on Clubhouse? Well, in real life, we're strategizing for how to use Clubhouse. And then next Sunday morning, wake up at 8. The first thing I do, turn on my phone, open up Clubhouse. I see Pedram is hosting a welcome room for Dr. David Perlmutter. I have met him before and I have so much respect for him. And he's if there are however many doctors in the country that I would want to work with, he's absolutely in the top 5. We are going to work together as a result of the fact that I helped him in his welcome room. I mean, truly, it's incredible. And I accidentally hosted Katie Couric's welcome room.
I was just going to ask if you would talk about that. I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't know if I was allowed to say it. Okay, so
great.
Let's explain that one. I want you to share.
Well, it's so bizarre. So I had her cell phone number in my phone from many, many years ago because I had arranged for an interview for her while I was working on New York's Olympic bid. And
as you do,
literally haven't talked to her in 100 years. And so then I see there's a welcome room. At first I'm like, I'm not that person. And then I was like, but this is the whole point of the welcome room, is just to have some fun with it. And I go in and it turns out it's a bunch of newbies that don't really know how to use Clubhouse. So I just took control. And Katie, now I'm her Clubhouse mentor too. It's just incredible.
See? That I hear you about these serendipitous interactions, like collisions or whatever.
I think that the best spirit you can bring forth on this app is generosity. I feel that way in life as well. But I really think that the good things that have been happening for me, probably in life as well, but on this app are happening because I'm just showing up, I'm offering guidance, I'm spending time, I'm super present with it. And those are all just, great metaphor for life, but really just going in with generosity. The rooms I'm creating are about helping people. So I just say that because I feel like everybody, if everybody could take a breath in how they're thinking about this, because it's overwhelming, and just go in with that spirit, they'll have a better experience.
Yes, and there are no rules, right? Renegades write the rules, so you can create your own clubhouse rules, your house rules. So I love that note about just go in with generosity. And I kind of think about like a welcoming, a welcome party if you have a new home, or people you would invite over into your home, and the warmth of that comes with that. And if my mind immediately went to business, like, okay, Clubhouse, let's think about business, but personal, just what are some of the examples of things that you've learned or you enjoy that are less businessy and just more, stimulating and like, or a hobby, or what are some of the other ways to use it?
Okay. My very, 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 very favorite part of Clubhouse is called the Lullaby Club. Okay. I'm not kidding. So at 9:00 Pacific every single night, this incredible group of singer-songwriters get together and they whisper the whole time, because half the people that are listening are actually falling asleep to Lullaby Club. They whisper and then they sing the most beautiful songs. And now there's some spoken word poetry and other stuff, but it is epic. This guy, Axel, who's absolutely incredible. He is incredible. He's a super talented musician to begin with, but then he is building this, and going back to the point about generosity, he is building this community and this club with such generosity and such good intention, and truly he has no sort of agenda around it. I mean, he literally is launching music at the same time, but he hardly even talks about it. He's literally there to foster this really good energy and make people feel great. And originally, part of why he created this was because he realized that there were so many parts of Clubhouse that felt a little tough, or the energy wasn't quite right, or people were like overwhelmed, or they felt intimidated, or someone, there were all kinds of, there's been drama, one could imagine, lots of drama.
Oh gosh.
So he wanted to create the exact opposite of that, and he has. So I literally, if the first thing you should do, you asked about places, people to follow, things to sign up for, follow the Lullaby Club immediately. And 9:00 Pacific time, every single night I am there. I'm not even kidding. I'm a groupie, full on.
Gosh, I had the most basic question and I lost it, but I hope to get it back, because
the difference between clubs and rooms.
Yes, but there was another one, and I'll try and remember. But yeah, what is I'm not even gonna try and guess. What is the big difference?
Well, rooms are happening at any moment. I could either plan a room for Friday, which, as you know, I did. Okay. Or I could do a spontaneous room, which is you and I could be like, you know what, let's just open, it's called a social room, where if you and I went on, we could open a social room, and the people that we are following, some of them might be following us, the people we are following are the only people that could come in. So what's cool about that is all kinds of fun serendipity. And if you're like, why not? Why wouldn't we start a social room?
Okay.
We should totally do that, by the way.
I want to do that.
Let's do it. We could do it. And it's fun. You just never know who's going to pop in. And then you can introduce whoever thinks that just sitting around like, what are the Amy's doing? Right. They pop in to say hi, and they might be in the middle of something, but they say hi for 5 minutes, or who knows? I mean, Katie Couric's following me now. And I follow her. She could pop in,
Yeah. Anything is possible. I love it.
Yeah. No, anything's possible. I mean, it's just fun. And I have to say, the reality is, again, going back to this lack of connection that many of us have experienced, this opens up that channel. So those are the rooms. There are 3 kinds. There's the open room, there's a closed room, and then there's a social room.
And is the closed room the same thing as a private room?
Yes.
Where you go if you're dating? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Or like whatever.
Yeah. But like literally I was thinking about doing a virtual dinner party on Clubhouse. And I was trying to figure out if it would be better to do that as a closed room. And you would be invited, obviously. I could just, because I used to do these epic women's dinner parties here. And now I could do that, but I could invite women from across the country, which is so awesome. And people will be more likely to participate because of the fact that it's virtual and it's audio and it's the easiest thing in the world.
For sure. I mean, the barrier for entry is so low, and the opportunity is clearly limitless. So it's fascinating. I mean, the wheels are turning. It does remind me, like when I was working with Shaquille and Dwayne Johnson, early days, and I would get text messages when they would tweet because I needed to know what they were saying and needed to be on deck just in case I needed help out. And I can just see if you set notifications for certain people, like if I did that for you and I got a notification, I'd be so FOMO. I'd want to, I imagine, do you ever get that? Like Clubhouse FOMO of?
Yeah. Well, yes, for sure. They're weird dynamics because there is this whole thing, like there are people that you know who will sometimes invite you up on stage to be part of their, like you'll pop in the room and they'll just invite you up.
Oh.
And then when they stop inviting you up, you're like, oh no, but they really, that is so crazy. Like what is, it's all the social dynamics, but in a new way. So those are all just things to mentally prepare for, but not to get too caught up in. I mean, again, the great thing is you can go just do your own thing or create your own stuff. And I have friends who are like, I don't know how to moderate. Well, you know what? There are tons of rooms about moderation and how to be a great moderator. So go listen to those rooms, you know? And I did that before I became, a regular moderator. I listened to those rooms because I wanted to hear. It's different moderating on Clubhouse than it is moderating a panel, which I've done for many, many years, but I needed to learn the new style, and everybody has their own style and all the rooms feel different. So now the difference between a room and a club, right? A room is happening, right? This is happening now. I could plan a room for Friday. I could start a room with you now. I could wake up in the middle of the night and be bored and go, who else is awake, and start a social room just by myself, and see who pops in. Haven't done that. Then the other thing is you can start a club. Okay. And the club is hosting regular content. So you have to, in order to create a club, commit to at least one weekly room at a certain time every single week. Okay. And so that the club, you literally would have, like my club, The Real Deal, I have tons of content happening. And so far I'm doing the bulk of it myself because I wanted to keep control, but I did make two other people admins, one being Pedram, I've already mentioned, and one being one of my dear friends who is someone I really trust. If she's doing content, I know it will be, and it's topically aligned. I know that whatever she's hosting will be at a certain sort of energy and quality, et cetera. So you can make other people admins of your club once you have it. And that way there's just more content and the club grows more quickly because there are more people going to the different rooms or seeing your content. So if I follow clubs or if I'm a member of clubs, I'll see that content in my feed. Okay. So I see not only the people that I follow, but the clubs that I follow.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. It's a container. You have to be consistent at least once a week, same time. And then you can add multiple. Okay. Love it. What's the most random thing that has happened? I mean, you've had these serendipitous moments, but like I did hear that like was it 2 a.m. or something when everything was happening with GameStop and Wall Street bets and Robinhood and all that jazz, that Elon Musk did hop on and start interviewing the founder. Is that correct? He
was coming on for the first time. We all knew it was planned. It's a certain club that Good Times. Yeah, we all knew. Good Times hosts these very high profile tech founders every single night at 10 o'clock Pacific. And so we were aware that Elon was coming on, and because at that time the room's capped out at 5K, I was lucky enough to get in the room. Again, I was literally watching for the room to start so that I could jump in because I knew it would cap out. But then a bunch of people started these overflow rooms. So there were like 6 or 7 rooms of 5,000 people each, because there would be someone in the room that was somehow playing it. People have sometimes 2 phones for this app. Let's not even get into that. That's not something I recommend.
It's like what we used to do at South by when it's like overflow room, right? From the main stage. Then
exactly.
2 phones.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are these overflow rooms, and that's only happened a few times. It happened when Mark Zuckerberg came on. Yeah, there have been a few overflow rooms. And now I saw as of last night that there was a room of 7,000 people. So they are working on increasing. It's all about capacity and the servers, et cetera.
Totally.
There are certain times where the app is glitching out like there's no tomorrow. So this relates back to Katie Couric. I really hope she doesn't listen to this because it's kind of embarrassing. But basically, Katie, 2 nights after her welcome room, had a scheduled event, and it's really why she joined the app, is she was helping promote this platform called Pods. And so I popped into the room that they were doing, which was ending by the time I got there. And it was her and Bethany Hamilton and a supermodel and a few other people. I don't know, kind of an eclectic group of people. And they said, oh, let's do an after party for this Pods room. So they do an after party, Katie and Bethany Hamilton, and then the supermodel, this guy, Jake, who was part of the welcome room. So he was like my new bud from the welcome room, the Katie welcome room. And they're up on stage and they're just talking about God knows what. And then, Katie's still learning the app. So she's like, so the people that are below us, those are people that are followed by the speakers. Oh, there's so-and-so, there's so-and-so. Oh, there's Amy Stanton. She's the one that's teaching me how to use Clubhouse. So she calls me up. I come up on stage now. This is super random. Okay. Katie says goodnight, but she forgets to shut out of the app. So her name and face is still up there. And Bethany is still running with the room. The app starts glitching out. Bethany gets knocked out. The supermodel becomes the moderator. And then there are at this point like 1,200 people in the room, and no one can speak except for me and Jake, the guy I met from from the welcome room. Okay. And we literally don't know what to do because we don't know if anyone else is even really there or they're gone too. So we're literally talking about restaurants, because when I met him the first time, he was eating dinner at Carbone and I was on my way to dinner, and it's just the most random conversation ever in the history of time. I eventually was able to shut out and just peace out, but I guess Jake stayed on, started talking about mental health to himself, and I got all this positive feedback in his DMs about how people really appreciated that conversation. It's just hilarious. So that was the most random for sure.
Okay, if your mind is blown right now and you're listening, I think we just have to hop in and start trolling the hallways and hopping into rooms and being generous and open but just real quick to close the loop. So did you connect with Jake? Did you guys go into a private room or?
No, we're friends on here now, on IG. Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah.
Friends. I don't know. I'm sure we'll talk again. But the thing that's cool is you start seeing all of your Clubhouse friends all over the place.
Yeah.
And some of these people have become real friends of mine that I literally text daily. It's bizarre, but true. I'm not even exaggerating.
I'm not exaggerating. I love it. I love it.
It's so cool. There's a guy named Jonathan Fields. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, oh, totally.
He's on our session on Friday, by the way.
Oh, cool.
So Jonathan, I met on stage, and then I messaged him. And this is a really good piece of advice, actually. I would strongly advise you to reach out to people and say, I heard you on Clubhouse, would love to connect, or I love what you're doing, or I loved this room that you hosted, because a lot of people are creating real meaningful connections that way. And Jonathan, I felt like he and I should have known each other anyways.
Yeah.
But now we talk all the time. And I'm having him in a bunch of my rooms because he's super smart and wonderful human being. So it's incredible.
I love this. One more tactical question, and then we're going to recap a couple of your top tips. I'm going to tell you what the notes I took during our teaching session. How do you promote? So this thing that we're doing tomorrow where you're bringing me in your room, if I wanted to share that with my non-Clubhouse community, is there a link that you go get, or how do I know how to do that?
So in the app, when you click on, there's a way to look at my events. So the events that I'm either participating in or hosting. And I can show you that on the app, but I can't.
That's okay. Okay. So
you click on my events, and then you click on the actual event, and you can tweet it directly from there. That's one option. Or if you click on it and open it up in a browser on a computer. This whole thing is iPhone only, by the way. We didn't talk about that, but If you open it up on a browser, not forever, they're working on Android, you can actually do a screen grab. You could design around that. People are doing all kinds of stuff and creating a little mini design and then posting that and pushing that out. And I probably should do some of that more proactively around the real deal so that I create a look and feel for my content so that everybody can then repost. It's a good point. I mean, I just haven't been using that part of my brain for this, but the actual marketing part, which is the main part of my brain, has not kicked into high gear yet. I'm just doing it for fun. But right now you could tweet it out and people retweet it. I've seen situations where people saw that I was doing this room and they just tweeted it like, this looks like a cool room, tweeted it. And then it links automatically to the people that are linked to Twitter. So it's actually pretty cool in that respect. That functionality is really good.
Okay. This has been so helpful. So absolutely helpful. I mean, it sounds like, with this knowledge and then hopping in, you're so much more set up for success than if you just start randomly roaming around in hallways or whatever. Yeah. I love it. So follow the right people. Be very intentional if you're going to set your notifications because it could drive you up a wall. Be smart with your profile, right? First 2 lines are really like kind of SEO, right? You're wanting to optimize them based on what the algorithm's going to pick up if people are searching for things. Be generous. Bring generosity. I think just like the Lullaby Club is a great place to start. 9 p.m. Pacific every night, right? And follow the Real Deal Club and follow Amy K. Stanton and follow Amy Jo Martin. That's all you got to do, right?
And done. Yes. I would also recommend following both of the founders. I would recommend following Tiffany Haddish. I would recommend following, well, there's a longer list. There are a bunch of big tech people. It sort of depends on your interest levels, but you'll feel it out as you go. And just the people that you see regularly and you like their vibe. I mean, I would say first and foremost, just have fun with it at first and don't take it too seriously and get up there and be brave and ask some questions and go into the welcome rooms and listen and just learn, because that's really where I picked up a lot of it. But it definitely is a massive time suck if you allow it to be, or if you want it to be. But you just got to find your own path. And it's such a good metaphor for life. Just how do we chart our own path on Clubhouse, this brave new world?
I think that's what I'm so excited about. Like just the curiosity of what could we create? What could we do? We could start a social room, but then let's have everybody do something in the physical world at the same time and we'll feel their energy through audio. And I don't know, let's just like play. So
there's actually a cool club called Social Play, which you should also follow. They do some really fun stuff. Like they have everybody change their profile photos to a photo of them as a baby. And then they speak, or a child, and they speak from that perspective. Like even in childlike voices. It's crazy what happens.
Oh my goodness. Yes. It's like Pandora's box. Sometimes I'm afraid to click on that app, the icon, the app, because I'm like, I don't know if I have time for that. But however, I'm excited.
It's a reasonable concern.
I'm excited. So thank you. And I can't wait to apply some of this knowledge. We're not done. I've got a lot more to learn, but this is like not even an undergrad degree. We're going to take it step by step. So maybe you can come back on in a while after we've worked our way up the experience.
Okay. It would be my pleasure. I, first of all, will chat with you about anything, anytime, but I really am having fun with it. And I do feel like there's so much opportunity for people, and it's just truly about just getting in your feet wet and going for it. So I'm very excited to do more with you and also I'm the same, where I'm like, what can we build? So we'll be doing something together, I'm sure.
I love it. I'd be honored to build something with the Clubhouse Queen. And this is just fun. So thank you for taking the time here. And then also just for being open-minded and navigating and charting your own path in this is really inspiring. So, I mean, anything is possible. So this is like, a candy store.
It's true. Thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the show. Hit me up on social media to let me know what you think. I'm at Amy Jo Martin on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I want to hear your Why Not Now moments so I can share them on the show. Just send me a note to whynotnow@amyjomartin.com. For show notes and other offers, you can visit amyjomartin.com/whynotnow. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for my email newsletter for exclusive content and announcements. A big thanks to Rock Salt Music for all of the tunes by the talented John Coggins, and of course a hat tip to Richard Brewer for editing and producing the show. I'll see you next time, and until then, why not now?